Hey guys, this is Justin, and I have an incredible story for you today. Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe God can change things and he can take the worst mistakes in your life and make them new? Well, guess what? I have a story to tell you today. Make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss this one.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford Podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford Podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today. Hope you've been doing great since the last episode. If you're loving the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave a 5-star review. If you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at The Official Justin Ford. Again, at The Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also here on YouTube. Got a great episode in store for you today. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Nextdoor Lending is currently licensed in over 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Hope everybody's been doing great, and I'm excited to just share a story with you. And the reason I want to share this story with you, especially for those of you guys that follow the Lord, have a relationship with the Lord, I always say it's really not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And with God, all things are possible. I always end the show that way. And I really felt led to share this testimony with you. And what a testimony is just sharing something, that God has done that can really encourage other people. And, for those of you guys that have heard my story, or if maybe you've never heard my story, I grew up in a broken home, had some challenges as I grew up. And then in high school was an honor roll student, played football, was a good kid, but just started getting caught up in, peer pressure and making some poor decisions. And, between the ages of 17 and 19, I acquired 8 misdemeanors and a felony. I was arrested 13 times. I sold drugs to an undercover cop, lost my license for 10 years. And it was just really like a difficult path. But it was that path that actually led me to my relationship with the Lord. At 19 years old, checked myself into Grace Centers of Hope, which is a faith-based, treatment center, homeless shelter. And in that place, that's where I found Jesus. And he radically changed me. And here I am, 23 years later. And God has just been restoring my life, blessing my life, right? And when I say it's not how you start, what matters is how you finish, and that with God, all things are possible. It's that no matter where you are right now, no matter what circumstances you're experiencing, no matter what hardship you're facing, God can take you from there and he can completely change your circumstances. He can completely, take you from brokenness to blessed. He can take you from, a place of poverty to a place of provision. He can do the impossible. That's why I say with God, all things are possible. And so, along my journey, even though I became a Christian at 19, there were still consequences, that I had to work through over the years, right? Even after I became a Christian, I didn't have a driver's license. I lost it. And by losing it, I used to have to take the bus to work. I used to walk with Angelina, my oldest daughter, to church with her on my shoulders. I had to, bum a ride from other people to get to where I needed to go. God had changed me. He had blessed me. He had forgiven me of my sins. I was on this new path. I wasn't the guy that I used to be. And yet I lost privileges, right? I gave those privileges up, one of them being a driver's license. And so over the years, God has just been restoring my life, blessing my life, fixing the broken things, and even the Bible, talks about how God makes all things new, right? He can take our circumstances, he can take our lives, and he can transform them. And my story is just one story of so many people's lives, that have been changed and transformed. And so one of the privileges, that having a felony that you lose is being able to, possess a firearm, not just in the state of Michigan, but at a federal level. When you're a felon, you cannot own a firearm. Now, I've never really been like a gun guy or anything like that, but I always used to kind of feel bummed out when I would, hear of like people going hunting and, people, doing different activities and things that, entailed having a firearm. And I'm just like, well, I kind of like made a decision and just kind of accepted years ago that those are things that I would never be able to do. Doesn't matter how long ago my felony was. It doesn't matter how much my life had changed. When you're a felon for life. It doesn't change. So, I always wanted to, have a firearm, and this isn't political because I know some people are for it. Some people are against it. I don't care where you stand. It doesn't matter to me, right? That's not why I'm sharing this. But just knowing, right, to be able to protect your family, God forbid, somebody breaks in, somebody assaults you, somebody attacks you, even if you don't like guns, if somebody broke into your house and was threatening your family at that moment, I'm sure if you had a gun, you'd use it, right, to protect your family. Who wouldn't? So, even as a felon, my wife, Joy, could not get a firearm. Like it's you just can't. You can't have it in the same home as a felon. So, as we all know, like our world is not getting better. It's getting scarier. It's getting worse. There's a lot of crazy people out here. I mean, you see it. People walking into schools, into churches, into places and just shooting innocent people, right? And I've always said, I wish that I was able to have a firearm, not only to protect anybody, protect my family if someone ever came into my house, but to be able to protect other people. Earlier this year, I don't even remember how it kind of came about, but I'm sitting there with my mom and with Joy in our living room, and we're just kind of, talking. And I remember my mom saying, how like, her and my stepdad have, firearms, people that come into the, if anybody were ever to come into the house, they're protected. They go to the range and they practice. And, I think she might have said like something along the lines of, Joy, can't you get a firearm? Nope, can't do it. And I don't even remember if it was my mom who said it or how it came up, but she brought up that I think it was a couple of years ago that there was a program, or maybe I looked it up, I don't remember, that the governor of Michigan came out with this clean slate program where people's felonies and criminal records were just completely wiped away without having to apply for it, without having to, request it, and you weren't even notified if it was done. And I said, whoa, that's interesting. So I started to look into this like clean slate program. And so I said, wow, I wonder if I was on that list, right? Because I think it was like maybe 2 million people or something like that whose records were expunged and completely wiped out. And so I started to do my research. I went on the State of Michigan website. It's called iChat, the letter I, CHAT. This is where you can look up your criminal record. If you have one, it pops up. I know my criminal record was there because when I went to apply for my real estate license at the state of Michigan and in Florida, I had to submit my record. And I remember my iChat being like 2 pages long because I had like been arrested 13 times and I had been charged with 8 different charges. And so I know it was there before. And so I go on to iChat, you pay your $10, you put your information in, nothing on there. I said, I wonder if that's like maybe an error or if my record really isn't there anymore. So I called up the state of Michigan. I even called, a couple of the places, and they said, no, your record is clean now. And I said, interesting. And they said it could still be clean. It could be clean at the state of Michigan level, but it might still be, your felony might still show up at the federal level. I said, okay, interesting. So I submit my fingerprints to the FBI, and it came back. Nothing was on there. It was a completely clean record. I said, wow, that's interesting. I was like, okay. And so then I call up my buddy. His son is like an instructor, right, to get your CPL. And I'm like, hey man, I think my record's clean. I'd like to take this CPL class. He says, absolutely, man. He says, yeah, you know what? You can still get your CPL, and, you can take this class, but when you submit your application to Wayne County, it's either going to come back, approved, delayed, or denied. And so we'll know, take the class, get certified, and let's send it to the Wayne County. So back in April, I submitted my, my application to Wayne County, and you got to wait 4 to 6 weeks. And I remember getting my CPL license in the mail, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, this is crazy, right? And so then they're like, well, listen, you can get your CPL, but you can still go to purchase a firearm and still get denied because your record might still be in there, just not showing publicly. So again, either you're going to get approved, you're going to get delayed, or you're going to get denied. So I remember, going to purchase my first firearm, and I go up to the counter. I know what I want. And I told the guy, man, this is, my clean slate, this, that, and the other. He's like, oh, yeah, we've had people come back before, and even talked to people at some gun stores. And they even said sometimes you can still get denied. So I've got this anxious, nervousness, butterflies in my stomach. And he runs me through, and he says, I've got good news and I've got bad news. And I'm like, okay. And I've always been the guy to say, give me the bad news first. He said, the bad news is we're taking your money today. The good news is you're approved. And I just was like, wow. Now that in and of itself sounds, pretty cool, right? But it's so much crazier than that. Along this journey, God reminded me that back in December of 2020, there's a pastor who prophesied over me. And if you don't know what a prophecy is, it's basically someone that's hearing from the Lord and is basically sharing with you what they're hearing. Now, I know there's some people who, from depending on what denomination background you have, some people believe in these things, some people don't. Again, I don't care what you believe. That's not the point. But the Lord reminded me of this prophetic word back in 2020. So this is what he said almost 5 years ago, okay? And I didn't really remember this part of it, but the Lord took me back, and I want to play it for you so you can hear it.
Forms of yesterday are erased. All the negative darkness is erased and will not come to haunt you. For God says your record is being sponged and clean, and everything about you is being clean, and they shall not have a past history, but a future will you have. It'll be the future that I have called you to be in, and God will give you understanding
That was so crazy because back almost 5 years ago, he said, your record is being expunged and completely wiped clean, and you will have no record of your past. And when God took me back to this, it blew me away because God was not only, restoring my life and blessing my life after 19, not only was he forgiving me my sins, not only was he going to restore my driver's license, not only was he going to, bless me with all of these things, he was going to wipe my record clean so that as if the felony and the misdemeanors that were on my record were as if they were never there before. And by this clean slate program, it was an expungement and a completely cleansing of my record, as if you were to look my record up, it's if I've never had any past history of any charges, which is crazy. And I say all that to say this to whoever's listening right now. It's not how you start. What matters is how you finish, and with God, all things are possible. God is able to take your darkest times, your biggest mistakes, your most difficult parts of your life, and maybe you're there right now, and he is able to turn that all the way around. He's able to wipe it clean. He's able to remove it, and he's able to use it for his glory. I never expected this to happen, but God said through this pastor, Pastor Rick Satterfield, back in December of 2020, your record is being expunged and completely wiped clean, and your record of the past will be removed and erased. And here we are in 2025, and that's exactly what happened. With God, all things are possible. And this caused me recently to say, I know there's a verse in the Bible that says God makes all things new. See, if we would just believe God and we would really believe what the Bible says, we would see him begin to do these things in our life. And here's what Colossians chapter 2, verse 14 in the Passion Translation says. This is crazy because it goes exactly with what I just said. God canceled out every legal violation we had on our record, and the old arrest warrant that stood to indict us, he erased it all. Our sins, our stained soul, he deleted it all, and they cannot be retrieved. I'm a living testimony of this verse and what God is able to do. And I want to encourage you today that my story, my journey, where I've been and where I am today, I pray that it encourages you to never give up, never lose hope, and always know that it's not how you start. It truly is how you finish, and with God, all things are possible. He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine. And God has just been blowing my mind lately. Why? Because of how much he loves me, how much his word is true, and how he's able to do things for me that I could never do for myself. I didn't request this expungement. I didn't apply for a program. I didn't ask for my record to be wiped clean, but God was foretelling me 5 years ago. He was letting me know, hey, I'm going to do this for you. And I didn't even remember it. I didn't even think about it. But when he said, go back and listen to that prophetic word, because I record anytime I can, my mouth just dropped. I was completely in awe. And you know what? God is no respecter of persons. He has no favorites, okay? If he can do it for me, he can do it for you. And so I hope that this testimony and this story encouraged you. And if it did, I want to hear about it. Reach out to me. Find me on Facebook at the official Justin Ford. Find me on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. I want to hear from you, okay? If you're believing for a miracle from God, I want to agree with you. There is power in agreement. When two or more come together, touch and agree and ask anything unto the Father, it shall be done. I want to partner with you, and I want to agree with you in prayer for your breakthrough and your miracle. Again, if you're believing for God to take you from where you are to where you believe he can take you, I want to pray with you and for you. But reach out to me. Again, shoot me a DM, find me on social media, comment below on YouTube, send me an email, justin@justinfordteam.com. I'm here in any way I can to support you and connect with you. And so I just really felt led to share that with you today. Again, I hope it encourages even just one person on your journey. So feel free to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you feel that this show episode can encourage or be a blessing to somebody else, share it. And I'd love to hear from them as well. Okay. So before we wrap up today's episode, again, I want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is not just the sponsor of our show. This is our go-to mortgage lender for the Justin Ford real estate team. This is who we entrust with all of our buyers. Why? Over 1,000 five-star reviews, a perfect Better Business Bureau rating. So if you're a buyer looking to get pre-approved and buy a home this year, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. If you are a homeowner looking to refinance, maybe take some cash out or consolidate, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. And if you are a real estate agent looking for a great mortgage lender, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. Two things I always like to leave you with. Number one, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number two, with God, all things are possible. Just look at my life. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.